Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV and Radio, where wisdom meets experience. Join a dynamic lineup of thought leaders, professionals, and changemakers from around the world. Dr. Madeline Chan from the UK, Mariska Dupreya from Australia, Red.Olaughlin from Texas, USA, Carolyn Heward from the UK, Zunette Lub from Cape Town, South Africa, as they share expert insights, personal journeys, and impactful strategies for success. Talking Heads isn't just a show, it's a global stage for education, collaboration, and inspiration. So elevate your knowledge, expand your perspective, engage in conversations that matter. Streaming globally, empowering locally, this is Talking Heads, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy y'all, red.Olaughlin here. We're on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And my program today is a follow-up from last week. I introduced the topic of synthetic peptides. I also talked about what peptides do. We make them naturally in our bodies. But today I want to follow up with a little bit more detail and information I think will answer a lot of questions. So I'm calling today's show Bulletproof Your Health with Peptides. So let's just jump right into the slides and get going. As always, this is live streaming. This is not a podcast. We do have podcasts that are available after the show is over, but we're live streaming on Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, E360 TV, a couple different channels on YouTube, not counting Android TV, Apple TV, social media. That's where I should say not counting. I also have simulcasts on my own social media, Facebook pages, and there's more. There's just a lot of stuff going out on this. So always, my shows are for awareness and education. And in reality, if you want to take action on something, and today is one of those topics that a lot of people say, hey, why don't I do this? And it makes a lot of sense. But again, it's for education. You really need to talk to somebody who has the experience before you just jump into something. My website is red.olaughlin.com. My name, Red, R-E-D, Olaughlin, OLAUGHLIN.com, red.olaughlin.com. And my books can be found there. I got about 1,500 blogs on my site. My LinkedIn site has about 1,000 articles I've written. A lot of information out there, almost everything on some level of health and wellness. Okay, bulletproofing your health. Today you can find the live shows in the archives on USA Global TV on YouTube. It's also on Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck YouTube. red.olaughlin.com has some archive shows on it also. Okay, a little bit about me before we get started in today's show. I'm a researcher. I fell in love with chemistry many years ago. I never got in the medical field, never got in the pharmaceutical field, but I love to learn. I want to know why things happen. So from my early experience in sophomore year in high school, ended up getting a degree in chemistry, first of 5 academic degrees, all in different subjects, several professional certifications. My civilian background is primarily in the areas of quality assurance, reliability engineering, and logistics engineering. And so that's where I worked at mostly in my civilian time. Up to 31 years in the military, but 4.5 was on active duty at the front end. I got an invitation to Vietnam. I put 6 years on active duty at the end of my career, got an invitation to Bosnia. But the middle 20 years or so, I was working for various companies and quality assurance, reliability, statistics, math, a lot of that stuff. That was where I went, and that's what I enjoyed and that's what I'm using today. What I do on my research is cause and effect relationships. When I worked for Halliburton, I would take a look at the failures of the tools that we made. Why did it fail? And then try to figure out what can we do to prevent it. So when my wife had breast cancer about 10 years ago, I started saying, okay, what's going on here? What can we do about it? And I fell in love with chemistry. Okay, let's take a look what's going on here. And if you can see the relationships of things, okay, I can speed that up. I can slow that down. So we're treating causes, not symptoms. Why? Because if you treat the cause, you probably end up actually having some serious effect on trying to get to what you want to have done. But you're treating the symptoms, you're putting a Band-Aid on it, but that cause could keep going on underneath everything, and that's not what you need. So, personal note, this past year, I've been married 57 years, 2 kids, 3 grandkids, 1 great-grandson, and he'll be 2 years old here in about 3 months. So we had 4 generations at the house 2 weekends ago. Really had a good time. Best-selling author, got several books out there, independent publisher, published about 50 books for other people. Distinguished Toastmaster, I already mentioned, over 1,000 articles on LinkedIn. International TV host here with USA Global TV and Radio Network. In 2024, I was the number 2 and number 6 host in the shows that I was doing. This year, for the first 6 months, I was number 1. Very, very fortunate. One of the books I wrote on aging is Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging, How to Live to 100 Years of Age with the body of a healthy 50-year-old and a mind of a 25-year-old. So if I want to bulletproof my health with peptides, there's nothing in that book that talks about peptides, but there's a lot of good information there about aging. This information I'm putting out today is for educational purposes only, and I'll reiterate that a couple times. So, bulletproof your health. Okay, peptides. My opinion, this is mine. I think peptides could easily replace a lot of drugs, not just some, but a lot down the road. I'm starting to look and see what doctors are doing. I've listened to watched a couple different YouTube channels, and it's okay. This particular doctor here, somebody had a problem, gave him peptides, didn't give him a prescription med, gave him peptide. I'm saying, okay, but it fixed the problem. And so I'm thinking this can be the direction of future health and medical care, because our bodies make these things. Everything that we're talking about today is made naturally in the body, but it's like everything else in our body. As we get older, we just don't make it the same as we used to. We're not making as much. We're not making it to the quality level we did before. And a lot of things that we use on a daily basis are peptides, and we don't even think about it being as such. Insulin's a peptide. Typically in our body, that's the peptide that takes care of the blood sugar. However, something happens, our insulin becomes resistant to whatever is happening because of this, that, and whatever. Fine. I can inject myself with insulin, a peptide, a synthetic peptide, and because it's been tested and certified FDA safe, then it can be used to reduce my blood sugar and control things. It forces glucose to go into our cells. I don't have a lot of excess blood sugar left over in my bloodstream. It's used to treat diabetes. And so you have to ask yourself, are there other health medical peptides? Yeah, quite a few of them. We'll touch on a little bit about it today. But a peptide is a chemical. And all it does, it's usually a bunch of amino acids that are stacked together in a certain order. And all it does is it's being sent out, usually from the mitochondria. And it says, go to the kidney receptor, go to the lung receptor, go to the brain receptor, and communicate this message. And the message can be a lot of different things. It can be hormone regulation. I need more of this. I need less of this. It can be appetite. Turn it on, turn it off. It can be metabolism. Burn more, burn less. Reproduction, neurotransmission. That's the communications going along our nerves. Neuromodulation, keeping everything under control. Getting sleep, a good quality sleep. Our mood, our immune response, our ability to heal faster, stronger. Inflammation, blood pressure, intestinal health, many, many more. All of those functions in our body are controlled by peptides. Those little messengers go out and tell the organs, do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. But that's what happens on a regular, normal, everyday basis. But you get up, 40 years, 60 years, 80 years of age, and all of a sudden you're not making as much. My book I talked about earlier, Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging, one of the hormones I talked about in there was human growth hormone. we make less and less as you get older. As a toddler, you're making, say 1,000 units a day. But you get up to 60, 70 years of age, you may be making 100 or less. But there are things that you can do to naturally increase that hormone. Fasting for one, intermittent high intensity exercise is another, and it just ramps it up. But if I go on a 24-hour fast, boom, I got 1,000% more human growth hormone than I had before, because I have a way of making the body make more of it. Well, peptides are the same way. They just don't have the impetus to do their job anymore. And as a result, our bodies get flabby, our skin gets to be discolored. We look older, we have wrinkles. These are peptides that have been worn out. But if I can get a synthetic peptide that is pharmaceutical grade, I mean, as good a quality as you can get, and I put it into my body, boom, all of a sudden it's like being a teenager again. Everything is working because I now have somebody pounding on the door of my cell saying, get this stuff done right now. And all of a sudden the cell does what it's always been told to do, but now it has impetus. It has reason to do it because there's somebody overseeing to make sure it gets done right now. But it controls so many different things in our bodies. And let's just take a look at the hormones. We say it communicates with hormones. Okay, here's a few. Human growth hormone, yes, that's one of the ones. Insulin, we know about that. The adrenocorticotropic hormone, adrenal glands. All of a sudden, my mind is blank. Glucagon, that's your digestion and things. Thyroid, releasing hormone. Gonado, that's your reproductive system. Somatostatin, that's your growth hormone again. Your cholecystokinin, CCK, that it deals more with your digestion and stuff. Ghrelin, that's more with appetite and things. So all of these hormones and more, the peptides go to there and say, do your job. I want more of this. I want less of this. And that's all it's doing. Your body through your vagus nerve is communicating, monitoring. 80% of the time is monitoring. When it sees a problem, communication going to the brain, it says, okay, I got to fix this by doing something. Whatever that something is, the cells create the peptide. The peptide goes to where it needs to go. Boom, things start to happen. But as we get old, things slow down. Growth hormone. I can control that with a lot of natural things. Amino acids, arginine, orthonine, lysine, glutamine. Those all work well. I take arginine every day in order to increase my nitric oxide. But these are things that work on growth hormone. But the amino acids are growth hormone releasers. I can release growth hormone by exercise. I mentioned earlier, high intensity interval training. Other factors determine other effects. Fasting being one of them. I think that's the easiest one to increase your human growth hormone. Peptides. There's a couple of CJC 1295, ipamorelin. They stimulate hormone balance. Again, they're individual peptides. These are natural peptides in our body. Now, the CJC 1295, that's what they call it, and so it balances it. But they're also made as synthetics. So I take a look at sermorelin and the butamorin, the MK6. They all are focused on growth hormone. So it's just not one messenger. I get messengers from all over the body depending on what I need to have done. And these things are going on all the time, messages going back and forth. So it's not a strange thing, but it's just that we're getting old and I'm not getting the mileage that I used to get out of my peptides. So who should avoid growth hormone peptides? Well, in this particular case, I'm talking about growth hormone. People with active cancers, because we don't want that cancer to grow, the tumors. Anybody who has a history of tumors in the past. Somebody with kidney or liver disease. If you have uncontrolled diabetes, again, you're causing a growth spurt in the body. Back when you were 7, 8 years of age and you're growing up into your teenage years, people maybe grow a foot or more. All of those growth things are happening. So when you put growth hormone in charge of the rest of your body, it's the big gorilla in the room. It's the one telling things, get this done, get that done. So people with severe blood sugar issues, cardiovascular issues, autoimmune issues, if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, those are all people should avoid any peptides that are focusing on growth hormone. And again, any peptide you're looking at, you can go do a simple, Google search and say, who should avoid this peptide? As I mentioned earlier, peptides are messengers. That's all they do. Your body responds as programmed. We have a program, every organ, every cell. We have a program. Somebody has to turn it on, turn it off. Boom. And the messengers are the ones saying, turn on, turn off, crank it up some more, whatever it may happen to be. So as we age and everything declines, we now have a mechanism, these synthetic peptides, that will now allow us to counter the visual signs of aging, that reduced skin elasticity, our muscle loss, our slow recovery from any injuries, our ability to walk and run and do lots of things, balance, flexible, a lot of things that we could do in our teen and 20s that we can't do in our 50s, 60s, and 70s. It just kind of makes us, it's not the elixir of life, it's not the fountain of youth, but it gets you back into a more normal, controllable lifestyle. Synthetic peptides, just like natural peptides, they're there for repair, restoration, and optimization. They're telling the cells what to do. I think I've said that about 6-7 times already. Are there dangers from synthetic peptides? Personal opinion, I don't think so. However, because of the nature of them, it has to be FDA approved. And right now, I believe there's 102 peptides that are approved, 150 more in trials. A lot of trials done on animals. They're trying to get a lot of these things approved in human trials. And for my look, at least 500 others are planned for trial. So there's a lot of stuff going on, so that in 10 or 20 years, I think this is going to be the nature of give you a peptide rather than a prescription drug. Although right now, to buy some of these things, you do need a prescription. So most clinical trials have been on animals. There are very few on humans, but there's a lot of testimonial data on humans. You get on social media and you'll find all sorts of marketing. You'll say, this guy here, 5 years ago, take a look at me today. I'm, 6-pack and a half. Just amazing stuff that's out there. But you need FDA approval to buy them for human consumption. I just can't go buy a particular hormone without having a prescription for it. Now, there are prescriptions for a lot of these, even though they're not through FDA approval, you can still buy them in various ways. Caution, Will Robinson. You have to be able to justify what you're doing. So if you're buying something that's a synthetic peptide, the sale generally almost 100% of the time has to be for research only. Okay, I'm a researcher, but that's not the same thing that I'm saying, I'm going to research on my body. As much as I'd like to, I can't because that's not the way the system is set up. So don't think that, well, I could go research on my body and I'm doing research. Well, yeah, you are, but there's some risk associated with it. I started asking all of my doctors here recently, what do they know about peptides? Nothing, zero. Oh, they know about insulin. They know about, weight loss, but they really don't know about what's going on right now with synthetic peptides. But there's a lot of advertisement marketing on social media. I can go out and buy stuff for research. I can say I want to buy a particular weight loss peptide or a particular healing peptide. I can do that, but caution has to be advised. What's my current body chemistry? I just had my physical last week. I know my body chemistry is in pretty good shape. I know that I was out by just a tad on one of all the tests the doctor did. What's my hormone status? Are they balanced? Do I have a good baseline to start so that I know that when the messengers go out and tell the hormones to start doing this and that and whatever, that I have the right levels of hormones to make these things happen. So a lot of things are working in the background that we just assume, I take this is going to happen. Well, it's not quite the way it works. Some experienced doctors, if let's say you work with a guy you found on Instagram, for instance, doctor, that's what he does for a living. He will work with you as a patient. He will order tests. They'll get a baseline. They'll talk to you back and forth, almost like a functional medicine doctor. Get your history, get a lot of things going. And then they generally start you on a single peptide, very low dose. Let's see what happens. And if everything's okay, let's increase it a little bit and monitor all the time. One of the shows I was watching, Dr. Edwin Lee was with Dr. Mark Hyman, and he was talking about peptides. He says, I get neighbors, they come by and, oh, my shoulder's injured. He gives them a peptide for the shoulder. I got this gut issue. Oh, here's a peptide for that. Whatever it is, he is a peptide doctor. But he says, because Dr. Hyman asked, what kind of bad results have he had? He says, in all his workings, he's had 2 cases where a patient came down with anaphylactic shock. And that's a big deal because you can die. And if there's not somebody there to take care of you, that means you start taking these things by yourself. You're the only one in the house. That's not what you need to have done. Make sure somebody is there in order, let's say 999 times out of 1,000, nothing's going to happen. But don't start something. And again, I'm saying without medical care, that you can avoid the bad issues with your health. So he said 2 of those, they managed to get one of them to the hospital. He didn't talk about the other person. But Dr. Lee treats many health and medical issues with peptides. That's his deal. So go to YouTube, check them out. That's what I have right here. But you can also go to Google. YouTube, I find to be one of the best sources of information. I use AI a lot, but I have almost a 2-page prompt for the kinds of questions that I ask AI for my research. But go there and ask them specifics. If I want to have a particular weight loss peptide, who should use it, who should not use it, ask it the questions because it's going to give you a lot of answers. But a lot of times you'll find something, but it won't tell you. Start out at this dosage level for 7 days, increase it to this. Those are the things that a medical professional would be telling you who understands peptides and your body. Typically on manufactured peptides, you buy a bottle of this off of the internet, and you can do that. One size fits all because that's the way they're manufactured. But sometimes a lot of these peptides are made in compounding pharmacies. Sometimes they're not allowed to be made in compounding pharmacies. But when you have a compounded peptide, it fits the patient specifically. That is exactly what that patient needs with his current medical condition, physical makeup, and everything else. Again, please do not do research on yourself. Not recommending that. Get yourself a professional and begin a conversation. Learn more. See a few videos. Make sure you have some good questions to ask. Okay. So you do your personal research. You find out, okay, to me, I want to have a stronger mitochondria. So if I'm looking at something that I want to seriously consider working with somebody to get the right peptides to increase the efficiency, the function of my mitochondria, that's where I want to go for me. But maybe somebody has a lot of fatigue. Maybe they have some skin issues. Maybe they have healing issues. They're just not healing as rapidly as they used to. Metabolic issues. Some people want to focus on weight. And that seems to be a major one. You see a lot of commercials on TV with Ozempic, Wegovy, and a few others. And they're all focused on these drugs talking to this hormone to say, go do this. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a slide or two. But there are a lot of natural options to do that same thing. The same thing that Ozempic is doing, there are natural options because everything that the drug is based on had some natural option in the beginning. I won't say everything, but let's just say 99% of the time. But in your particular case, my particular case, we've been feeding our problem for years, but never realized we had a problem. Then all of a sudden you get that knock on the door and the doctor says, you have a tumor the size of a grapefruit. That you knew it had to be growing for 40 years, but all of a sudden it's starting to affect you. So it takes a long time to overcome the feeding of a health issue that you have. So don't expect it's going to be fixed in 2 weeks. As again, I said, let me assume I want to improve my mitochondrial health. Well, methylene blue is a chemical. It's not a peptide. It's not approved FDA for mitochondrial health, but methylene blue stimulates my ATP production. That's the energy that comes out of the cell, and it cranks it up by at least half, 30 to 60% greater than what that cell was doing before. Now, methylene blue, if you've never seen it, it's blue. It's a blue liquid. And you see people using a dropper and their mouth is all blue. They pee blue. Everything happens is blue. I think the half-life is about 5 hours. So, you give yourself a 3 or 4 or 5 half-lives and all of a sudden everything is cleaned out of the system. But it stimulates blood flow in the brain. It decreases oxidative stress in your body, increases oxygen flow in your blood vessels. It increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic function. One of the doctors that I'm following on Instagram calls BDNF brain fertilizer because it really does. It stimulates a lot of stuff up there. It creates more energy in your body. But sometimes we're making more energy, but we're not using that energy in the areas that we want. We want to burn fat. But if I don't have something focusing that energy on burning fat, then I have a problem. So there are other peptides that I can use in conjunction with. And sometimes they talk about stacking. We'll talk about that at the end where you use these two together or these three together. But for right now, MOTS-C is a peptide that's naturally made by our mitochondria in our mitochondria and sent out. And it basically turns on, it does a lot of things, but it turns on AMPK. We've talked about that pathway, that in the CERT2 over many presentations over the weeks and years. But it regulates our energy. It tells our body, I need more energy here, or I need less. But it's the master regulator, but it's control of the energy aspect. So when I need more energy because my methylene blue is cranking up my ATP production, I'm getting more energy out of that same mitochondria that I never got out of before. Now all of a sudden, boom, it's going to shove that glucose into the cells. I'm no longer seeing that insulin resistance I used to see. There's just a lot of things going on. So methylene, MOTS-C, restores my insulin sensitivity. In some cases, they've been known to assist in pain relief. But when you look at it in the totality of things, the MOTS-C does a lot of things that are in conjunction with helping that mitochondrial health. BPC 157 is another natural peptide, but also manufactured synthetically. I'm calling it B7 here just for discussion purposes. But it supports angiogenesis. That's basically our body making new blood vessels. So I have blood that I want to get to places, I oxygen, so it's creating these new blood vessels. Yeah, my particular case, I have two situations that in my heart, my left anterior descending artery called the widowmaker is 100% blocked. But my body grew two brand new blood vessels, one around the front, one around the back, to that blockage. And so I have no need for a stent. I didn't know this until the doctor went in there and took a really close look and says, yeah, I know you need a stent because everything's taken care of. Then, further down the road, I have a couple blockages in my knees, again, similar, but my body is making what they call collaterals, where I'm having new blood vessels made to go around. But, this is all thanks to Agent Orange in Vietnam from way back when. These are some of those long-term effects. So my body really does do a lot of angiogenesis, but BPC 157 helps the body do that. But it's really known for its muscle, ligament, bone, gut repair, seals leaky gut, protects your mitochondria. Lots of things BPC 157 does. It wakes up your growth hormone receptors. You're producing more growth hormone. It's neuroprotective. It passes through your brain, your blood-brain barrier. And that's a major filter that keeps a lot of stuff out. But because of a lot of the healing and the things it does and the use of energy, it's prohibited in just about any athletic competition around the world. All of a sudden you have something that heals you, gets you out, but you can't compete as an athlete because you took something to heal faster. So it is what it is. Thymosin alpha-1 is an immunomodulator, and it works on both the adaptive and the innate immune system. We're going through the pandemic, and we're talking about our different immune systems. Our innate immune system is what we got from our parents. The adaptive one are all those things we've seen. And for whatever reason, they're telling us, well, this virus doesn't work like other viruses because your adaptive system, it was a bunch of nothing. Our adaptive immune system, we see something new, it adapts to it, it fights it, and it clicks it off. Okay, I got a memory. If I ever see that molecular structure again, I'm going to attack it right away. So our innate immune system attacks stuff instantly because we recognize it, but we adapt to new diseases and things that come along. The thymosin alpha-1 is approved actually in over 30 countries around the world, but not in the United States. It's primarily for the hepatitis B virus, and that's what they've been using it for in many places. But in the United States, they have other drugs, again, follow the money. They have other drugs that have replaced the possible use of thymosin alpha-1 there. But the thymosin alpha-1 does a lot of things besides just protecting against the hepatitis B virus. GHK-Cu copper, it stimulates wound healing. It's been used 50 years now in the cosmetics industry, skin, hair. It's people who use it, they're amazed at all of a sudden their hair is growing, it's thicker, eyelashes, everything that skin and hair is now going crazily healthy. So it's improving your health. It upregulates about 4,000 genes. It's really a major function of the body. We used to have plenty of this stuff when we were kids. I mean, we were making it left and right. But as you get older, you're not making as much. So that's one that somebody might say, I really want to get rid of some of these wrinkles. I want my hair to be thicker. This is one of those ones that could be done. So again, find yourself a doctor who understands the use of that particular peptide and work with him or her in order to do what you want to have done. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that there's just not that many people available, so you may have to do some searching. The GHK copper supports tissue repair, major anti-aging applications for it. They have another thing, it's called the peptide stack, and they call it the Wolverine. The PPC 157 and what they call TB 500, they stack the two together. And because each one helps the other in what it's functioning to do. They call it Wolverine because in the comics or whatever that series is, Wolverine has the ability to heal, not instantly, but pretty darn quickly. So when they're looking at giving you the stack of these two peptides, it's super healing, helps your flexibility, your mobility, your mental clarity. And these things are sometimes sold in stacks or combinations. So you have everything you need in one area. But sometimes a peptide can talk to multiple hormones at one time. And that is, again, you have one size fits all. Well, that's not the way this thing works. This is the way we do things. So let's take a look at an example here. I think almost everybody has seen the TV shows for Ozempic and Wegovy, and it's for weight loss. And you have this GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, and it's a hormone. And our bodies make this peptide that's going to talk to GLP-1. And there's several of them out there, but you have a peptide that goes right there and says, okay, let's watch your appetite. Let's control your blood sugar. Let's improve your digestion. So there's several things there by talking to that hormone with natural peptides or synthetic peptides. But right now we're selling it as a drug. The drug is not a peptide. It is a drug. It's talking to the same hormone that the peptide talks to. You have this GIP, glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. So that's another one that causes insulin release, burning fat, and you hear Mounjaro is the primary one. Again, that's a drug, but there are peptides that talk specifically to the GIP hormone. Glucagon, again, it's a hormone that burns fat, boosts calorie usage. So you're burning fat and you're using more calories. But again, I have hormones that talk straight. I mean, I don't have hormone. It is a hormone. I have a peptide that talks straight to glucagon. But if I look at what peptides are out there, this retatrutide is one that talks to three different things. It talks to the GLP-1, talks to the GIP, and the glucagon. And they call it an agonist because that's where it's functioned at. So I have one peptide talking to all three of those places rather than having to go out and buy medicine, drugs, and doing that. But, retatrutide, again, you probably need a prescription to get it. But people taking it, the amount of testimonial evidence on that is absolutely amazing. Again, please talk to a medical profession before just getting on the internet and buying it yourself. Some places you can buy it easily, other places not. It's expensive, yeah. But again, what are you buying? You're buying something that works. Side effects, maybe, maybe not. Generally speaking, these things wouldn't be put out in as big a mass production as they are if they had a lot of side effects. And it's the exact same chemical that your body makes. I mean, except it's reagent grade in your body in the lab. The one thing we don't know, what dosage? If I'm starting something, let's say I'm taking the Peptide, do I start there and then increase it a little bit and increase it a little bit more? That's what the doctor, the professional, is there to tell you. Okay, this much for a week, this much for the next 2 weeks, whatever it is, you have somebody there. You also have somebody there that can give you the prescription where you can buy it legally and you're under doctor supervision. Again, ramp up slowly, monitor closely. Everything I'm talking about, again, awareness and education. And this topic today, peptides, synthetic ones, is one that really and truly needs to be repeated more than a couple times. I think this is my last slide. Again, our bodies make natural peptides. We get older and things slow down. Everything slows down when you get older. But our bodies respond. It's the same function in the body, but it's just not responding to the level of peptides that we have in there because we're not making as many. But if I take a synthetic peptide, boom, everything wakes up, and I mean, it's slam bam, thank you, ma'am, because these things are just an amazing chemical. And so I think it's going to be the future of medicine down the road, but I'm talking 20 years. So synthetic peptides, I'm going to continue to do my inspection on them. I printed out over 100 pages of stuff I've gotten off of AI, digging down deep into what actually happens at the molecular level in the body and how does this vary between the natural peptides and the synthetic ones. And I'm not finding anything, but the FDA, because that's the way our country is, again, use caution, talk to a professional. And I believe that's my last slide. Boom. Yes, it is. So that's a conclusion for today. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about next week. I don't think it's going to be on peptides, but you never know. So this is red.olaughlin. I'm signing off today on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And take care, y'all. Bye now.
Nestled in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Horseshoe Farm has always been more than a destination. It's a living, breathing reflection of community, connection, and transformation. Once a humble family farmstead, it has evolved over the years to become a sanctuary for travelers, seekers, families, and friends alike. Originally reimagined by the Turchin family as an Airbnb property, the farm began its journey into hospitality with simple roots, welcoming guests to experience the beauty and peace of the sacred land. As word spread and the vision deepened, the property organically blossomed into a boutique resort, rooted in the values of slow living, intentional experiences, and the magic of gathering. Today, the Horseshoe Farm is a 90-acre experiential retreat that merges hospitality, wellness, and culinary excellence. It is home to the stable spa, the silo cookhouse, distinctive lodging options, and a curated calendar of events that nourish mind, body, and spirit. Our guest experience is designed to be both grounding and expansive, where the comforts of luxury meet with the simplicity of nature. At its core, the Horseshoe Farm is about transformation of land, of self, and of community. We are proud of where we've come from. We are confident in who we are today and excited for the road ahead. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, also known as the Listening Mentor and President and Founder of USA Global TV and Radio. I had the opportunity, the pleasure of attending a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm just recently. I was so impressed with all of the opportunities that were presented to me in this glorious setting, as well as the highest level of customer service, that I've decided to put together a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina, United States of America, June 3rd through the 6th, 2026. You can expect to have a beautiful time of relaxation combined with learning, community, collaboration. Do consider joining me in this wonderful opportunity to reconnect with yourself, with others, and with nature. For more information, email me at drjacalyn@usaglobaltv.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.